Boy, do I have the game for you guys today. This is Transcontinental Ladder round. What round is it? Well, it doesn't matter. This is the current round, October 28th today that we're starting, and I'm in Group One. I made it back to Group One, where I used to be before I quit the ladder. I quit a year ago. I just quit for like 3 weeks because I was going on vacation, and I just wanted to have some time off. But when I came back, there wasn't any room for me up top, so I waited, and finally I got a spot and like rung. I think it was 10, around 10, and it's taken me a year to climb back up to where I am now here in Group One. Group One, Game One. It's just one game per round, so there's only one game. Um, yeah, so what I have here, and I'm playing against two of the best players that I know, Aaron Green and Pahada. Pahada, you all probably know from he's a guy who runs the International Championship and the Intermezzo Championship. I actually joined Intermezzo this round. Yeah, so I'm also doing that. And Aaron Green is a player who's done very well in both of those, and continues to do well in Transcontinental Ladder. He's almost always in the top two groups. So this is going to be a tough game. I've played these guys just casually too, and almost never win. But those are casual games. So this is a real game, and I'm going to be giving this my full attention and probably overthinking every move. So what I've done for this first move is I thought about what I'm going to do already. I know what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to do the rest of the video. I'm going to figure out what I want to do, and then I'll make my video. Aaron's going with library. Great start. And I have a choice. The way I see it, my choice is between taking Boudica or taking Richland. And I hesitate in taking Boudica because there is Caesar, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. Pahada is going to take Aristotle, I believe, or Engineering Genius. Actually, I could definitely see him going Engineering Genius. Either way, Aaron Green will not take Caesar for two. It's just not going to happen. It's a possibility if Pahada goes Engineering Genius that perhaps he takes these. I just don't see it happening. Look at the okay. We have Hammurabi and Homer. Both are better choices, I think. We'll see if they come out. So it's a bit of a risk taking Boudica with Caesar and Sun Tzu, but I think it'll work out. I think I'm pretty safe with this. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But Boudica is great for helping with the Stonehenge wonder, especially in round 3 when you build that lab. She'll give me a rock and I'll start the wonder, and then I'll probably keep getting rocks with her until the wonder's done. So Pahada actually went for Richland A and Stockpile, which surprised me. I mean, Aristotle, Engineering Genius, I think were also good plays there. But and I'm sure he saw those and thought about those, but he's going for something else here. There is Ashoka here, but there's no guarantee that Ashoka will come out, and Ashoka, I don't know, not the best leader, but that might be what he was thinking. Anyway, here it is. Aaron Green takes Aristotle, and we have a mine, and then there's Engineering Genius as well. It's a pretty good turn for Aaron. And then for my turn, pretty straightforward. I like Boudica, increase pop, build a mine, and then urban growth. And yeah, there's not really much to it. I don't think. There's any real decisions made here. I mean, there could be the cultural heritage argument if urban growth were to accelerate the cards too much, but I don't see a concern there. I think the cards can be accelerated, and that's just fine. So that's what I'm going to go with. And the turn. So Pahada has begun construction of the Roman roads as predicted, and then took Caesar as not predicted. Thought he might go Ashoka here. But I suppose a big part of the motivation here was to shut down Boudica. I did leave myself open to that. Aaron's going Aristotle. 2 for knights. Wow. That's a huge early investment in well, I guess he figured if he didn't do it now, he wouldn't get a chance to later. But what's cool about all this is I do have an opportunity for monarchy. Now, if I were to skip politics and get the free warrior, do something like that, then that's okay. But I do want to play an event because I think that I could push out a free pop, for instance, and then that would be just amazing, right? So I'm going to play historic territory and see what happens here. Okay, so 2 food. That doesn't quite get me another pop. Okay. Well, I'm definitely taking monarchy for 2. And I have a choice here between taking the free warrior, which would turn Boudica's ability on, or building this and just getting, the science. And so Boudica doesn't do anything, but I get science. And given that I'm not going to grab knights, that would just be, I'd go into corruption. It would be too much investment in the knights. So given that, I don't mind getting this warrior. And I have enough food. If I get another warrior, I can just increase pop again. We'll see if I go for a third warrior right off the bat. I don't know. But I'm committed to swordsman anyways, so I might as well build a warrior, and that'll give me the flexibility with Boudica to maybe get rocks next turn if that's what I decide I need more of. This last action, it's kind of a hard choice between just building on the wonder or drama. One argument for drama would be, or doing something else, would be masonry's coming, and so I could grab masonry, research it, and basically get a free masonry. Well, not free because it's 2 science, but it's 0 actions net. And the downside of that, though, is that it delays monarchy, and I don't want to delay monarchy. So masonry, I might still grab. I don't know. I don't think so. We'll see. But that's, I think, the turn for me. And and by the way, Genghis is there, and so is Great Wall. So another reason to go for the warrior. 2 more reasons. So anyway, I'm going to build the first stage, and then next turn get into monarchy. So Pahada has played an event, and being Caesar, he gets to play another event. So we drew some cards. It'd be interesting to see what those are. He does play a lab. He does build a lab, and then he just has to get out of corruption, which leaves him with only 1 action, which is good because if he had 2 actions, I'm sure he would have taken irrigation, and then we would have lost swordsman. So that's that. Aaron plays a card as well, development of warfare. So the free warrior, and then he spends 2 on cartography, which is now 4 actions that he's spent not building his economy. So he's really going for something here. There is Crook and Suez Canal in the deck, so it looks like he's going for some sort of combo there. He's going for another swordsman and then legion, which is interesting because he spent 2 actions on knights, but now he's going legion. So I wonder why he switched. Unfortunately for us, that means no Boudica resource at all. No Boudica science, nothing. And don't see that coming back anytime soon with Aaron at 5. Well, I could go to 5 next turn, and then the turn after that, finally get Boudica, maybe. But yeah, not going to happen. With the free warrior, Boudica's +2 isn't that exciting. If I get swordsman, however, then I can start using Boudica's resources. Let's get politics and just look at this for a second. I'm going to increase pop, and I'm going to want to get into monarchy. And then I have 1 action with corruption. I really want swordsman. I think it probably is worth the corruption because then I can actually, I lose 2 rocks, but then I can put 2 or 3 rocks into the swordsman. I don't know if that's worth it. Breakthrough is interesting. Of course, I could just finish this wonder, and that's 2 rocks right there that I could put to anything. Swordsman, of course, being like, I get stronger for free with Boudica. Anyway, it's not great. None of these things are great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play an event. Now it's between cultural influence or knowledge of the ancients. They're both pretty even. We're both at 1 AJ wonder. So it's 2 science each, or like, who cares how much culture each. And so I'm going to go knowledge because it looks like I'm not building a lab. And yeah, I think I'd find that science pretty precious. Okay, so this is +1 pop. That does change things. You get a free warrior, increased pop. So to proceed with the plan, I mean, I think that is kind of the best start for this turn. But I now have 2 actions instead of just 1 action left. And there's a couple options. I could do this and miss both swordsman and breakthrough. Not so great. It is a little bit more better. It is a little bit better in terms of economy. But I'd have to really reach for the second swordsman later, or maybe not get it at all. There's also just finishing this, and then I have 1 more action. This is a tough choice for me this one is a tough choice because I want to get Swordsman and I want to get Breakthrough. It's tough because Swordsman would be great with Boudica, but I don't have enough science next turn to even start that. But it would be, who knows what this event deck really looks like. And I do have knowledge of the ancients. Maybe I get Swordsman out faster. This looks like it might be a military. I don't know. These two are sure acting like it's a military game, and yeah, it's a little uncomfortable to go without Swordsman. Breakthrough, yes, I could get the second Swordsman, but I'm gonna have to spend at least 2 on it if I'm gonna get it, and so it's kind of like spending 2 on Breakthrough, which is still a pretty good price until you consider that there's a chance I don't get Swordsman as a result of taking Breakthrough, because Aaron, he's gonna want Swordsman. So for all that reason, I'm gonna go Swordsman in the turn, and I'll discard. I think Raid is the discard here. Tough choice though. Raiders, Pestilence, and there's the Genghis card. So Pahada has played into this stack as the weakest player, which tells me that Pahada didn't really play anything like too bad, and maybe even saw some cards so that he's pretty sure he can play as the weakest player. But then you have to ask, okay, what was his motivation? And maybe it's because he knows he played some territories and he knows Aaron has cartography and he wants to get the territory out beforehand. But then I wonder why he didn't play a second event. Maybe he just didn't have one. But in any case, I'm pretty sure that was Aaron's rebellion. And I'm pretty sure that, well, I'm pretty happy about being the only person not affected by that. I'm glad I could finish that wonder. Aaron develops cartography and increases his pop. So maybe Aaron read the same thing, that Pahada was desperate to push out a territory. And he builds a warrior. Now the warrior, I can interpret that as a strength play, or I could see that as, well, he's just getting ready for the colonization, because he only has 2 MA, so who knows? I could see it either way. He's not, what that tells me though is he's not super needing to draw cards. He's willing to go, reduce his card draw by 1. Anyway, who knows, really? It's hard to say, but Aaron did only just play 1 of these events, and I think it was Aaron that played the Rebellion, and then we have 2 from Red. So I'm not gonna play into this event deck. There's nothing I really want to play anyways. I want to go for St. Pete's, and want to get my science going for sure, and definitely get out of corruption, and then I just have 1 action, and it's pretty straightforward, and that's to take this. And there is a choice to maybe get a free warrior at this point, and I'll have the happiness covered for it once I finish the wonder. But I think I'd rather put that guy on science, honestly. That's the thing I'm super low on, and it'd be really nice to have 3 science coming in. Might even get a printing press. I mean, that's a luxury, right? But that would go well with Darwin. I guess so would a 3rd lab. And yeah, it's about, I don't know, let's look into the 3rd age. You got Ian Fleming. Not a strong argument for printing press, but anyways, I do want to get at that guy on some sort of science next turn. So with that, I'm going to end the turn. And oh, wait, of course. Definitely copying that. Phew. All right. So Plunder is not useful. Raiders, not interested. Maybe Pestilence. Well, anyway, this is an easy discard. So let's do that. Reign of Terror. Okay. Pahada's played Stockpile, and he's just going to finish that wonder. Didn't see anything he liked in the row. Didn't play an event either. Aaron also skips Political. That I found surprising, but I think the reason why is because he saw Columbus. He must have a pretty good territory in hand, but Columbus is right there, and why not? Why not grab Columbus and just get it that way? Still, he played Cartography, which tells me that he must have played something good, and probably has like a mediocre one for Columbus. So I'm a little puzzled by all this, but that round just now makes me think that actually Pahada did play Rebellion, because Aaron's only played 1 event in this age, in this deck, and it must have been that like yellow territory, like vast or inhabited, and so Rebellion was probably Pahada. So we're looking at probably a territory, and probably nothing strength based from Pahada for the red one. Either way, I'm skipping politics just because none of these are super interesting to me. Pestilence, I don't think the combo is well with 3 happy faces. So, although, cultural influence would be cool, but I can play that later. I'm gonna skip politics, and this is a really tough turn actually. I gotta say, I like everything here. I definitely like Richland, and of course this is a combo. I do have also 2 free resources from Boudica, and that'll get actually Boudica's ability back if Aaron decides not to go for knights. We'll see. And from here, I have 4 actions. I really like Ridgeland, and I want to build another lab to get some science going. There are, looking forward, so printing press, the thought about printing press, I have to look forward and see what would go well with that. Darwin would go well with that, and that's about it. For Bach, I'd much rather have a lab and then upgrade it into alchemists later, or scientific method, and then switch those over to operas. And really, Darwin's just not enough reason for me to go for the printing press. And Leonardo, sure, that's a reason as well. But let's look at what that looks like. So just to show you guys what that looks like, that would be printing press there, and I'm looking at corruption, or we switch the order and we just go printing press first and then get out corruption. It's pretty cool, but I'm missing Richland and I'm missing 2 free resources for the swordsman, and I'm just not super excited about it really, and I'm not excited about having a printing press either long term. So instead, I am going to just build a lab and then go for the swordsman, grab Richland, and then with these 2 actions, this is still kind of a hard-ish problem, which is like I could either do that and just do 2 actions and have 2 actions more in the future, or I could grab Leonardo and have more rocks in the future and maybe go for alchemists. I'm thinking this is the way to go with Leonardo. The only other leader I'm excited about, I wouldn't say excited, Saladin. Saladin is the only guy who's like somewhat useful here. I guess Gutenberg, slightly, but that's again with alchemists. Leonardo is rocks either way. Gutenberg, I need alchemists to make that work at all. Plus, taking Leonardo takes away a combo from Pahada, who I think he would go for Leonardo and printing press, given that they're both on 1. I don't know. Maybe not. He has surprised me already this game. So I feel like I'm taking this opportunity from Pahada at least, and I think this is a good transition into next stage. So I'm going to end the turn. Pestilence, just not interested in that at all. So confirm, we'll see what we get here. Scientific breakthrough, okay. So Pahada has played an event and triggered strategic territory. Now this, to me, says Pahada played this. I think this is the one that Pahada was trying to push out earlier before the cartography went down. This is about all I can really throw of that. The 1 boat and the 1 swordsman. So a bit up to 3. Aaron wins. So Pahada, not Pahada. Aaron wins that with just 1 boat. And Pahada's played another event, which has triggered vast territory. This is what I believe Aaron played. And I need to bid now. So I can do, this is pretty standard. 2 units is worth it. But I think I can bid it up a little bit. It's a little bit risky, but I do want to put Aaron into where he's going to have to use 3 of these. Thing is, I don't know how eager he would be to do that, given I don't know what his territory is with Columbus. If it's inhabited, then he's not going to go totally nuts for this. But it seems to me that Aaron is on a path of trying to get all of the territories. I think he would throw 3 at it. He only has 2 MA, so he knows that 3 is going to put him in a bad position. But anyway, I think it's worth bidding it up just to see if I can get him to send the 3rd unit. So I can send, what I can do, I'm just going to go manual bid. I'm just going to go 7. And the reason why it's 7 is because he can do 7. If he throws 3 at it, that's 5 for the warriors, and then 2 more for cartography. That's 7. So if I bid 7, then he has to send 7. If I win, of course, I'm going to send this, which is, yeah, I'll keep the boat. And then next turn, I will have enough for 2 warriors, put me at 4, which, 4 strength, that is. And then I'll still have the boat, so I'll still be able to defend. So anyway, 7 is my bid for that reason. So Aaron does win it, so he did go over to 7 plus. Let's see what he bid. There we go. So we got rid of a 3rd warrior by bidding him up a little bit. So Bahada's gonna go ahead and get into knights, build a knight, and get a little stronger. You might be thinking that those last 2 events are strength related. He's even getting into bread and circuses. They are not strength related, and I know that because I played them. Aaron has 2 MAs, and he's looking to get a 3rd here. This would allow him to completely rebuild that legion, and it would benefit him a lot too, having 3. He could hold more cards. Right now he can only hold 3, so this would be a 4th card for him. For me, it's a benefit too, sure. It's a marginal benefit. It's definitely going to be more beneficial for Aaron, though. And I think the way I see it, Aaron is my rival right now. Aaron is ahead of Pahada. So anything that helps my rival more than me is not a good thing. So I'm going to decline it. So Aaron has begun the Great Wall, and he's going to get what he can back from its Legion, and just get a corruption with the increase of pop. No Columbus yet. That's interesting. I think he's hoping that Columbus will still, or that Aristotle will still be around. We'll see about that. My turn is going to probably look something like this. If we skip politics, I'm going to want to do definitely Code of Laws and get that free resource there, and then get out of corruption and probably just get into this. Now I could trigger Knowledge of the Ancients and be at 6 science for Code of Laws, but if I were to research it at that point, then next turn I'd have 3 and not enough for alchemy. And also, I like food right now. I like food more than I do a 6th and a yeah, it's just that combo. The food and the alchemy I think is better. And probably just upgrade it again. That's what I'm probably going to do on my turn, kind of, even if, if Knowledge of the Ancients comes out. If Historic comes out, then it'll look slightly different, because I'll just build a 3rd warrior or a 3rd swordsman, but pretty much the same. So I'm going to go ahead and play Scientific Method, and we'll see which one pops out. But Scientific Method, pretty sure alchemy is mine. I don't see Pahada taking it for 3. There's no way. Aaron, he has enough to do with the wall. It would be at 2 for him. And yeah, I just don't see him taking that for 2. He'll probably build another lab. So yeah, I'm pretty safe with alchemy, I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to play Scientific Breakthrough. All right, so there we go. So we'll carry out that turn as planned, pretty much. Without this last action, there's really just, so I could now do this instead, and I don't know, I still have the last action. There's some argument for reserves here. I just don't think it's worth the actions, though. I would take reserves if I needed the food, but I don't. And 2 actions for 1 rock apiece is just not good to me. So that last action, I'm just going to upgrade this. I'm going to keep this guy alive and active, and that way I don't have to worry. I don't have to rush on the wonder. That's the other reason. I'm not going to be able to have enough happiness. And then just use that. I don't mind not using rich land, because I want to save rich land for coal when coal comes out. And that's about it. Just double check everything, make sure it's all good. And yeah, next turn I'll get into alchemy, and then Code of Laws soon after that. Barbarians, it's probably not going to be good for me. I'm probably going to be the culture lead for a little bit. So Pahada has triggered Historic Territory, which for me will ultimately be my 4th and 5th happy face. Which, honestly, I'm not that excited about that. It's going to cost me 3 rocks to restore that swordsman, and I'd rather get into alchemy, and hopefully coal comes out soon. So it's not really something I really want to be doing. So I'm going to pass on it. So Aaron wins it with a warrior, bringing his strength down to 4. And that's enough. That's enough of a difference. So Enslave is successful. Aaron loses another pop. So basically he lost 2 pop as the cost. And what do you know? Caesar actually did a cool Caesar thing in the game. Pretty late for Caesar to be still here. But it paid off. It's going with Iron. Doesn't go with Swordsman. So the pack that I rejected has now been offered to Pahada, and I guess that was one of the three cards that Aaron kept. It must have been a tough choice, and Pahada's gone with it. Had he offered it to me, I'd be more inclined because it makes, I don't know, it's still tough though to accept it when it's their third and your fourth. Philip Swordsman and Chris Columbus and Swordsman. Okay, so he's back with his Legion. He's getting the Great Wall going. He has Engineering Genius on the way, which I don't think Pahada is going to take. I definitely am not taking that. It's too far away. I'm the weakest, and who knows what all that is. Jeez, it's a sea of red. Scientific breakthrough. I'd like to delay that until I get some labs going, anyways. So I'm going to skip politics. And definitely want to get into alchemy first thing. The next two actions, got a lot of choices here. I could do that, get another alchemist, but I feel like I'm pretty limited on rocks and not so limited on science anymore. So I feel like that's just a little too greedy. Well, not even greedy, but just kind of imbalanced is the right word. And so, but I have to get out of corruption somehow. So I think increasing pop is good. Also, we don't know where rats are. Not quite sure where that is. And then the last interesting decision is the last action. I have a few pretty good options. One would be, I could just do that and have one more action later on. Of course, Iron's here, and again, enough science for it. Of course, with the 5 science a turn, it's no big deal for science, and that would help me get my weakness up, which is my weakness is rocks. It's tough though because there's also urban growth here, and that would just give me a nice boost of rocks, and I could wait for coal. There's James Watt is here, and coal would be a better long-term plan. Aaron's probably going to get Suez, and he's going to have, what is that, 6 rocks a turn, right? That's how Suez works. No, 7, 8. 7, 8, because of Columbus and Suez itself. Assuming he draws something. I don't know. We'll see if he draws anything. I wish Pahada had not accepted that pact, because that just makes it easier for him to draw more territories. But I also understand it's tough being on 2 MA. Anyways, it's a tough choice. Iron is definitely calling me, but I think coal is going to be the better long-term play here. I do have Leonardo give me an extra resource per turn for now. So he's going to help me get through this tough patch where I don't have a lot of resources. And then urban growth will help me as well. So I'm going to go urban growth in the turn and discard 2 military cards. I just don't see that as good for me at all. Just looking at the scores, and I'm going to have 3 per turn soon. And I guess Reign of Terror, I don't see, who knows? Cultural Influence could be fun, but I don't see getting super strong. I'm kind of worried about Aaron. He's going to, if he wants to, he could explode in strength. Bahada has offered me a naval trade agreement where I get the +1 colonization. I'd be okay without the blue. I'm going to need, let's see, I'm going to lose that blue plus a blue for code laws, and then I need to put 5 back, which I can do. But do we think there's any colonies in here? Anything good? I don't think so. Probably not. And I wouldn't want to see colonies myself due to the James Cook threat. So I'm just not so interested in this, really. I'm going to reject. So Pahada has gone with Saladin and elected Frugality and takes Frugality. So let's go to Aaron. Aaron's going to increase pop. 2 for Conmon. Okay, so he's a couple turns away from Conmon. Engineering Genius, of course. So next turn he could finish the Wonder and go to 13 Strength. Got to be aware of that. Pahada's turn makes me think Strength. A lot of Strength in here. At least a couple. And Aaron hasn't played any of these. So anyway, looking at the political, I'm pretty sure skipping it is the right move here. And I'm going to do Code of Laws. I get into that. Definitely taking that. It's nice that it's on 2 or 1. I mean, and then the next couple actions. Well, I think I have to play a little bit safe here because, like I said, he could go to 13, and I wouldn't really be ready for that unless I had some way to get these cavalry down. So one way to do that, well, I guess I could do this and then take a leader and still have enough for cav. I could. It's possible. I could possibly do this, but and I guess I'm not too worried about strength, right? But then I still got to finish this wonder, and I don't think that really science is the bottleneck right now. I think rocks are. So don't really want to pour a lot into rocks. The other way to get out of corruption is to do that, and of course take a leader. So I'm kind of favoring that. If I were to do like a hybrid approach of like urban growth, then I can't get out of corruption. Well, I suppose I could do this, but then I can't get one of these amazing leaders. So not super into that idea. Yeah, and also I wouldn't be able to build a cav next turn. So what I can do is if I do this, oops, no, I don't want to complete it yet. I could complete it and grab a leader. Then I have enough with Leonardo's extra resource. I have just enough to build one cavalry, which with that would be just enough to, go +5, matching Aaron's 13. And actually, that sounds like it might be a good move if there's a lot of strength in here that we don't see in the meantime. So then it's just a question of which leader, which one do I go with? And I'm gonna go with it's a close one between Bach and Darwin. Bach, the thing is about Bach is I already have 3 happiness. I'm not gonna need more than like 1 opera for quite a while. So he's gonna be 2 culture per turn, and then a couple science I save, and then maybe an action plus a couple, maybe 3 rocks. So compare that to Darwin, which is 3 culture, the same 3 culture, saving me definitely an action when I get coal. So I'm gonna want to get that as soon as it comes out, and also possibly navigation. We'll see if I go for that. I don't know. Possibly what else? Opera. Still want to look at maybe getting opera, and so a couple. That's a couple actions right there, and then it's like I can just get into it right now. Whereas, well, not this later this turn because, like I said, I want to get that 5th rock and the 6th science to get cavalryman next turn. So I'm not going to elect him yet. I don't know. Saving the boat could be nice, but I got a strength plan, so I feel like I don't need it necessarily. Okay, well, I got a boat and a bunch of strength, a bunch of aggressions. Cool. All right, so I guess the pain starts now. On certain borders, I lost the yellow for that. He gets into his iron, max, and rifles. And Aaron has triggered Call to Arms, and he's actually the second weakest player, so he loses one of his 4 actions. I lose 2 of my 6, which isn't so great. We'll see what I drew in a second. He's not going to be able to finish his wonder as a result, and so to get out of corruption, he builds a warrior. Also, this might be good for him to colonize if he thinks there's any more colonies in the deck. And takes Frugality. That's 3 Frugalities. All the Frugalities have been taken, which is, I don't really see that a whole lot. It's rare. How many Frugalities are there? There's 2 in H2. So we'll see if the 4th one is taken. So I drew Crime Wave and Cold War. So nothing too exciting there. I'm just anticipating more pain here. There's scientific breakthrough, but yeah, I've been through enough already. I don't feel like I need to play an event. I'm gonna skip politics, and I have a pretty good row in front of me, and one pretty interesting decision. So one decision would be, do I get Darwin or not? I think so because I got plenty of science. I have another 4 coming, so basically 14 science, and yeah, that's enough. I don't need to focus on that so much. I'm thinking, I want to get coal, so my next turn will hopefully be to grab coal and get into it. And I don't think that I'm going to grab that without Darwin. I'm going to want to elect him anyways next turn. We'll see. If there's I'll be missing maybe that 1 resource from Leo, but I'm getting a ton. I'm picking up 9 here. And then the last 2, I need to get out of corruption, so I might as well finish this. It'd be either that or increased pop, but I feel like this way I can do something with my last action, which I'll show you in a second. But first, I'll show you the first option I thought of, which is architecture. It's so tempting to go with architecture. because I have little rock income, and this will help me get into operas and help me with the later wonders once I get the coal going. There's another opera in the deck, however, so I feel like that's less of a priority than food. I think this is the better choice. I need to get this going because it is going to mean I'm down a pop for a little bit, and I'm pretty sure I can survive. I'll be okay next round. So Aaron's going to finish his wonder. He'll go to 16 if he upgrades a warrior, and I'll just build the cavalry. I'll be at 11, which is fine because I have a boat. So I don't see him going for a war. It'd be too risky. I would actually probably win that war if I sacrificed a lab. So I don't think I have to worry about a war. Unless there's Napoleon. No, there's no Napoleon. So I think I'm safe, and I think now is a good time, before it gets too serious, before I get super desperate and have to sacrifice labs for pop. Might as well sacrifice the pop now while I have it. So that's what I'm going to go with. It was a tough choice, though. Architecture is pretty good in this situation, I think. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that for the same reasoning. I don't think I need that extra 2. And get rid of all this. So the boat, I do feel like I need that. Of course, the tactic. And out of all these events, cultural influence is my favorite. So Pahada has gone with Max. It's going to take Kanmon and Revolution. 2 for Cannon. So he probably has some cannon tactic that he wants to get into, and there's scientific method. No surprise there. Engineering genius. I thought he might go for Louvre, but he doesn't have any extra blues. So that's probably why I didn't go for Louvre. And then Aaron's going to get into Kanmon with having finally reached enough science. He's going to finish the Wonder and take Rev Idea, which makes sense. And journalism. So journalism, that could be either a backup in case his Suez plan doesn't work out so well, or it is something to do with the extra rocks with Suez, is to build a bunch of journalists, swallow those yellows and such. He's generously left coal for 1 CA for me, of course, knowing that it wouldn't matter what he took, it'd be 1 CA anyways. So I have a tough choice of whether to play an event or not. I have a pretty good turn if Scientific Breakthrough comes out, which is I can get into coal and cavalryman in the same turn and grab this. And that's pretty nice. I do want to get cavalrymen because I am vulnerable right now to an aggression. And it would also give me a 12, so it would put me +1 strength over Pahada if I copied that tactic. The downsides, of course, are there are a lot of landmines. Even the good stuff, even like good harvest would be kind of bad. I think good harvest is in there because Pahada, don't know why he would sit at 3 with Frugality. Otherwise, yeah. So I'm not super excited about playing events, but I think I need to sort of push and kind of shape the game in my direction a little bit more here. I need to start taking some risks. Cultural influence is a smaller risk because, yeah, Aaron could get some culture going himself. And then national pride, of course, is a bigger risk, but maybe safer. Like it's less likely to go awry given the current scores. National pride, and I'll do cultural influence next time. Okay, well, there you go. So not the worst thing in the world, but also not the result we were hoping for. So I'm going to go into cavalry, play it safe here, and grab this. And then the last 2 actions are simply getting out of corruption and I'll do that with these 2 moves here. Upgrading it, of course, gives me more science when the scientific breakthrough does hit. So that's kind of one nice thing about that not having gone off. Now that National Pride is in there, I'm going to be more interested in playing events and more interested, of course, in opera, which is coming up. Yeah, let's go ahead and copy. I guess I'll go ahead and just copy it right now. Because I'm not going to build a cav next time. I'm going to be more interested in coal than cav. So let's see how that goes. Let's see if that lasts. Also, I'm like not at all vulnerable to Aaron's probe attack if I do that. Prosperity is interesting, but I definitely have enough food coming in as it is. So Pod is getting into his scientific method, and I guess he used the. Oh, so that's what the food event is. It's not good harvest, is it? That was 4A. That's how he got his 4th food, and he was able to play Frugality. And yes, the last Frugality is taken. All frugalities in the game. Aaron's playing frugality, increasing again. Goes for a lab. He upgrades warriors, and he's going for Watt. Now, I'm sure we all thought, I'm sure you guys thought that he would go for Cook. I think he thought he would go for Cook, but here he is with Watt and Cole in front of him, and I guess he was tempted to take the earlier benefit there. I'm definitely wanting to play this because he's not going to get this the super culture boom going with Cook. So very interested in that. Go ahead and play it and see what happens here. Oh shoot! Yeah, I could have taken advantage of that at some point, but he did just build that second Bread and Circus. Okay, well it could have been a lot worse. Definitely want this. Definitely gonna get into my coal. Very satisfying to use two of those at once. And what else? Increased pop. Well, there's no rats, is there? There might be in hand here. There's four age one cards in hand, but it's pretty unlikely. So Bahada could play rats, and then it comes out on Aaron's turn, possibly. Very unlikely. Um. Anyway, I have two actions, really, and I guess a fish and upgrade would be pretty cool if I didn't think rats was an issue. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and grab that. Pump it into my coal. The other option would be to increase pop and grab navigation. Navigation being a pretty marginal utility. I do effectively have 12 uh, next turn. 12, what is it? Science. 12 science next turn. And so I can either go strategy next turn or opera. And then navigation would be like the next turn after that, which would be like 17, which is still not enough for all three of those. Anyway, it's gonna navigation would be a later play. I'm gonna go efficient upgrade and hope that the worst doesn't happen with rats. I don't think it will. Well, I unfortunately recorded the last couple plays of these two, but then I accidentally deleted that recording and then played an event. Anyways, I can't replay it now. But this is what happened. Pahada played an event. It triggered my scientific breakthrough, and we each got five. Pahada got his pop increase. He got into cannons. So he started Suez, played Engineering Genius to start Suez, and he got into cannons instead. Now, he could not have finished Suez. He didn't have the actions for doing that. So it's not like he built cannons instead of Suez, but still, it's interesting that he built cannons and got to be strongest. It kind of hints at what that event might have been, something strengthly related, perhaps. Aaron has colonized Inhabited Territory 2. This is actually a better view than the default view, which you can't really see what they colonize. And he gets into what? He got coal, developed coal, and upgraded that, and took architecture, which would have fallen into my row, but he took it from me. And that's that. Okay. So as you can see, I played economic progress. I scored two, and I chose that because emigration would have been kind of tough to work around. I would have had to. Yeah, I was the only one who would have been kind of nervous about that. I am nervous about civil unrest being in there, which is you lose four per discontent. The obvious moves, of course, opera breakthrough, very obvious. If I take cannon, then that denies Aaron Green cannon, so now he has just swordsman. If I take rifleman, it doesn't deny Aaron Green cannon. I can take both, I suppose, but I don't think it's worth it. So rifle, Pahada already has that, so he's not going to take it, and then it'll just fall off. And then the hard choice. The hard choice is this: do I get stronger, which I could do like that, go to 20, but then next turn I will need to build an opera, just have to because of happiness, and I don't know when I'd ever get the last coal upgrade. So, well, I mean, the turn after that, I would maybe, I guess the turn after next, but I would still be, looking at food issues and such. And I don't know, this doesn't sit too well with me compared to this. Okay, so if I just upgrade and increase pop to get a corruption, and then strategy. Actually, no, I would do opera in this case because if international negotiations hits, then I could lose the science that I need for opera. Let's throw that out and see what we get here. So Pahada has triggered terrorism, which means I'm going to lose a alchemist. It's going to finish that, and opera reserves. We'll see what he colonized in a second here. Terrorism. I mean, I imagine it was Pahada who played that, although he's only slightly behind. And yes, ravages. Here it is. So I'll have to lose 2 happy faces due to that, but I do gain a culture per turn, whereas Aaron, well, Pahada does not gain culture. Yep, Einstein, breakthrough, and urban growth. Looks like he might be getting into those journalists next turn, unless multimedia comes out. So for my turn, there is a scientific cooperation potential here, and we have kind of all about the same science, roughly. Aaron has a little more, but Aaron, I'm going to immediately regret that if I do it with Aaron, because it's going to be, he's going to build 2 journalists with Einstein, and he'll have way more science coming in. And Pahada, he'll upgrade his scientific method, and again, it'll be more science than me. So I could do it for 1 round, I suppose, but then I wouldn't have a political action next turn. So I'm not going to do that. My political action, I'll just skip it. So we'll skip politics and destroy that. Okay, so now there are 2 problems. One is I want to get stronger, and 2, I want to get out of the uprising. There's 2 approaches that I see. Obviously, I'm building this either way, and I do want to get the strategy going and build the cavalry as planned. And then the question is, how do I get rid of the uprising? One way would be to just disband the swordsmen and then do something like that. I'm taking tanks to create a shortage of tanks. Pahada only has knights. Aaron doesn't have any cavalry tech at all. And that would, I think, put some pressure, military pressure on them. So that's one way to do it. But then, of course, there's Charlie Chaplin. The downside of this is, well, that one event, what's it called? Civil unrest, where I lose 8 points and a blue. And also, it's just not, I don't know, I can't put as much military pressure on them. So the better choice there is to, let's back up to this, is to still do this. I still like this, but go ahead and take Chaplin. And then I have no uprising, no, not even any discontent workers at that point. Still want to go strategy and do that. If I don't play strategy, I miss out on 2 draws. Whereas, yes, I could instead play engineering. And that would have saved me 2 rocks. But I got plenty of rocks. I guess that would be, no, that would be this. Okay. So that would have saved me 2 rocks. I'd be at 2 + 9 next turn, which is pretty good, actually. That's going to get me a multimedia if I want it. But I missed out on 2 draws, and I'm also not the strongest. So I'm not super happy about that. So I am going to go with the strategy, engineering, build that, build the cavalry. Now I'm at 20. And 10 culture per turn. This to me looks pretty solid. I'm drawing 3 a turn. I see Chaplin is pretty good, actually. He's very similar to Marlene, because he's saving me a pop. I don't have to put another guy on opera for a while. And he's 3 happiness. So that saves me a pop, and it saves me the resources that I would need to spend to put another opera up. Very similar to Marlene. She saves you a pop and a bunch of resources. So I'm going with this, and I'm going to try to put some military pressure on them starting now because I'm strongest, but I'm definitely going to be trying to continue that pressure going forward as I do have the point lead. So checking over everything really quick, and I'm going to hit and turn. So Pahada and Aaron are now in a pact of international tourism. It's going for revolution with communism. So he gets another rock per turn with Steve Jobs. Pretty cool. Plus the happiness. Yeah, he's going for very much an economic type of thing with the impacts. He's got tons of card draws. Makes sense. Aaron's triggered National Pride, which I played earlier. Upgrades a mine practically for free. And it looks like he's getting into those libraries. There's one. He gets military theory. So they both have pretty strong, they're building pretty strong age 3 economies. Pahada's is more about economic stuff like impacts, and Aaron's is very much a culture. Well, they're both culture because Pahada and Aaron have bonuses whenever they research anything. So I'm feeling like they are catching up, even though I have a point lead here. It's could evaporate pretty fast. So I think the response for me, the proper response to this is I need to put some pressure on with military. Pahada, they both have really low food. Aaron does have 4 free units, but he has poor unit tech right now. And Pahada only has 2 more units. He does have a pretty good tactic, and he can definitely move those warriors over, so he's probably not going to fall to this, but he's also not my rival. I don't think. I think Aaron is more of a threat as far as culture. So that's my plan, is to put some pressure on Aaron. I'm going to skip politics. There's nothing I really want to play. Scientific cooperation is looking no better. Developed territory, just not interested in doing that. The only downside is I did play economic progress, so if I'm going to do a war, it's got to be fast. It's got to be soon. And just hope that that doesn't trigger during the war. Skip politics. I'm going to go for, well, let's make this a little bit stealthy by starting with some non-military things. And then the obvious military thing, I'm obviously taking that. It's really nice that it's actually right there in front of me. And then I'll go ahead and grab reserves and then build a innocent cavalry. Nothing to see here. But yeah, next turn I can get plus 18 strength. And that'll put me at 41, which is a pretty good war against Aaron. I think it'll be good. He can get 1 unit tech by then. So, I mean, actually, what am I talking about? Right, so he's going to have a total of 16 science to respond to the war with. So that's 1 unit tech. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Of course, he could pick up more science. We'll see how that goes. But I've definitely presented a threat to both of them. So they're going to have to stop with their age 3 economy nonsense and start responding to the war, to the threat of the war. And hopefully that'll give me some breathing room here. I got engineering genius. One problem is I do have a pretty full hand, but Air Force and reserves are going to be leaving my hands soon. And of course, the other problem is science. I'm not so great on science 4 per turn, but hopefully we'll pick up some science as we go here. Discarding this, not interested, not interested in this one. And I'm gonna discard that. Scientific cooperation, actually, not interested in that at all. So Bahada's triggered iconoclasm. Doesn't really hurt anybody, but glad I'm not with Darwin anymore. Goes with the urban growth. Yep, getting really into these, the economy still. Cannons, it's a lot of actions. And he did grab Air Force for 3, so Aaron is not going to have Air Force available. Pop size, so I lose a couple more points against them. Gets another multimedia. So this is good for our war, I think. 6 rocks into that. It's more about the rocks, really, not so much the pop. He has tons of pop. He does grab reserves, perhaps thinking about using that for food. And does get into some techs there. So modern infantry and rockets. There are no tanks left in the deck. So that narrows his choices of tactics down. Looking at the war here, and I do want to continue with this war, I think it is the right path right now, is the worst case scenario is Pahada could have Napoleonic army and get 2.5 of those, one of those being integrated. And that I think would put him about, I did the math, and I think it's about 40, it's over 41. I'm going to get to 41. And if Pahada has Napoleonic, he goes over 41. That's assuming that economic progress hits, which, that's a lot of assumptions, right? But worst case is over mine. Aaron's worst case is actually exactly 41, and that's if he has the entrenchments tactic. This one right here, entrenchments, and that would put him over. So, or not over. That would put him at 41. So worst case is I would not lose anything. So that's one reason to go for Aaron. Another reason would be that I think he is my rival. I mean, still, as far as like he's the closest. He's in second. Maybe he's in first, but the point is he's ahead of Pahada, I believe. So for both those reasons, I think Aaron is the best choice for this war. So I'm going to declare war on Aaron, and it's a pretty straightforward war. Nothing to really think about as far as what to do, but there it is. There's the war. I suppose I could throw another warrior at it if I wanted to make absolutely sure that I won. but I don't think it's worth it because I need 3 actions to take United Nations. And not that this is an amazing wonder for me, 12 points, and I'll probably just evaluate this, but it is 16 points against Bahada, and um, I got tons of rocks coming in. I have Engineering Genius, and I would ideally go for another wonder after this. So it's just a way to get more points, basically. Um, yeah, I think that's it. I think that's the move, and I expect to get a pretty solid response from both of them on military. I don't think I'm going to be using any of these aggressions, but we'll see. I doubt it. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be a thing. The downside is I'm not drawing any more cards, and so I'm going to have to just go with hopefully a pretty solid victory on Aaron, and plus this wonder, plus maybe another wonder. We'll see how this works out. I'm going to have to discard this. Not so interested in that. I guess it's a tough choice. I do see potential for a territory, like historic would be a reason to keep these boats. So really it's between occupy and plunder. And I'm going to just go ahead and get rid of plunder. I think that's the better choice here. Occupy, I think, is a little more, yeah, it's just better. I need more science, so that'd be nice to get that to process if I could. It's very unlikely. So, Pahada has attempted an armed intervention against Aaron Green, which failed, but that did remove 2 boats from Aaron's hand and another card, which is going to make it really tough for Aaron to defend future attacks because he's probably going to use all of his military actions in response to the war. Pahada has gone for another theater, which is a very, very bold choice against this. And he does have Air Force. So, I mean, he's basically saying, I have enough boats. 13. 13 is the gap. So he could do that with an age 2 boat plus an age 3 boat plus 3 cards. That would be 13. So Aaron has offered me a pact, military alliance. So that gap of 13. Now, if Bahada had 2 age 3 boats, that would be 15, a gap of 15. And if I accept this pack, I'll be at a gap of 16, I believe, if I'm doing the math right. Yeah, 16. So I'd be able to bridge, I'd be able to attack him if he only had 2 age 3 boats. So, I mean, I'm definitely going to accept this. There's no reason not to. I don't know that I'll attack Bahada with it. We'll see what Aaron's gap looks like, military gap, and make a decision after that. But there's no reason not to accept this. There almost never is. So Aaron's defending the war with military theory and 2 rockets. He's going to play fortifications as well. And reserves. Takes reserves for 3. He could have built another warrior, and that would have been 2 points that he saved, but he didn't. I'm wondering. I'm curious. I guess it's he's probably doing some math for wonders and such, or maybe just for the next war, because he has 11 plus that is 15, so that's 2 more. That's probably why he didn't do the warrior. He could do 2 more rockets. But I don't have a war. That is my last war. There's really no choice here for occupy. Aaron's definitely going to defend. Plus 5. He has 5 cards, and Pahada. Well, we'll see. We'll see if he defends or not. Well, unfortunately, that did not work. We did get a good amount of cards out of him, Pahada. So he has 3 cards left, all age 3. My turn looks like this. I'm going to just finish this wonder. Evaluate impact of industry, which gives me 5 points over Pahada. Plus the 12 for the wonder. And the last 4 actions, I really don't see anything better to do than Hollywood, which is only 12. But I think that's the best move. I am going to get another 7 if economic progress hits. If it doesn't hit, then I'm going to look kind of silly. But I do have impact of industry to play myself, so that'll help. And I was kind enough to leave Aaron with his whole hand, so maybe he'll play an event. We'll see. I do need that to process in order to finish it. But yeah, I just didn't see anything else that was worth taking, that was worth that much, given my low science, especially. That was solid 12, whereas the others are kind of a gamble. The military theory, or I guess revolutionary idea, is kind of a gamble on impact of progress, impact of tech. So might have been worth it, but that's not enough points really to justify. It's not enough. It doesn't beat 12 points. So I'm gonna go with that. We've already seen Iconoclasm, so Charlie's safe. Definitely getting 12 points out of that. What do I draw? Impact of Variety. Bahada takes Military Theory, and looks like he's going to research that with Jobs, so 4 more points. Military Buildup, he is the weakest, so he gets 10 out of that. And he's going to make a third army. Endowment for 6, and he had the option to extend the game a turn, but he's definitely not doing that. Taking a lot of cards here. Oil for possibly Impact of Tech. I hope he doesn't get into oil, because I do want to play this card. It's Impact. Aaron Green has triggered Arms Industry, which probably he played. We both get 4 each for that. And doesn't trigger Economic Progress, which makes me a little nervous. Pahada said in chat that he hadn't drawn a single impact all game, so that's why he didn't play anything. Or maybe it's not. Who knows? Maybe there's a strength-based event, but I don't know. He didn't get... Well, no, he did get to be where he's not the weakest, didn't he? Aaron... Did he... What happened there? He didn't get any stronger. No, he got weaker somehow. I missed it. Let's see what he did to get weaker. He disbanded warriors. That's why. Okay. And built the temple instead. So that was his last turn. He got ready for Impact of Happiness. He didn't need that temple. Really, he didn't need it for happiness, but he did play it. There are 2 impacts from Aaron, so that's possibly one of them. I'm going to have happiness issues if I don't build a temple of my own. So it's between these 2. Now, Pahada could, of course, get into oil. I don't know what else he's going to do, honestly. But why would he? Also, he's got balance issues that he needs to take care of. He has no, well, okay, he has seen Impact of Industry because United Nations. So I have to think about that. If I play that, he's going to get 2 upgrades pretty easily. And that's going to be plus 6 points based difference. So he's going to be at 10, which is still playable. Yeah, I guess I still play that because that's plus 2 over Pahada. Whereas this is not. This is -1. So I'm still kind of leaning towards that. Now, let's look at this from this perspective, though. So if I disband this and do that, and hopefully have +7 for the Wonder, then Variety looks a little better, but let's see. Then Variety becomes +3 and +1, whereas this would be +3 and +1. Okay, or +2, actually. +3 and +2. So either way, Industry is still better. I'm not going to get any better with Variety. So I might as well play Industry at this point. And hopefully, it's a 1 in 3 chance. But yeah, hopefully this triggers Economic Progress. No, that's not Economic Progress. That's strategic territory. That's a shame. Well, this is what I could bid. I could bid 8, and I think that would beat Pahada, who would either bid 5 with his warrior or 8. Well, it depends on what he has for... Like, if he has the impact in hand, he might bid more than that. But what I'm thinking is this is, a difference of 6, and it's really Pahada that I should worry about more than Aaron, because Pahada could trigger Economic Progress himself and finish that Wonder himself. I mean, it would take... Yeah, he has the actions for that. So, but here's the thing is, I would then have 1 fewer person to put on other things. Like there's impact of culture to think about, and impact of balance, and strength as well. So given all that, and given that those are not much, but they are bigger risks, I think I need to think about those bigger risks. Because if I lose a smaller impact like colonies, that's not as big of a risk. I'm probably not going to lose the game from that, but I might lose the game from a bigger impact. So I'm going to just go ahead and pass on this. Well, looks like Pahada also passed, and Aaron was the only one who bid on it. So Aaron actually goes up 2 strength, because that was not used in a tactic for him. And so now I'm just looking at, about 140 points at the end. And Pahada can get to 99 with Jobs plus his 10. And then if he plays an event and triggers Economic Progress, then he could finish Spaceflight. At which point he'd have an extra 24. So we're at 123 now for him, which is 17 behind me. And if I was weaker, this is gonna be my move, basically. But if I was weaker than him, he would have an easy time playing Impact of Strength. So that's how I would lose this game. Impact of Strength, that's 17 points right there. And that's the only thing I need to think about, I think. I think that's the only way I lose this game. If he has Impact of Culture, um, that's, I mean, what would he do there? I guess play Impact of Culture. But the problem is he only has 2 rocks after finishing the Wonder, 2 rocks and 2 actions. So he can't get the culture lead on me with 2 rocks and 2 actions. And the impact of science, yeah, he could play that. And again, 2 rocks and 2 culture, 2 actions. He can get impact of science for sure. He can go to 9 science a turn though, and that's only 10 points that he got on me. So I think the point of all this is I definitely need to keep this guy intact, the swordsman, the last swordsman, because otherwise I drop to weakest, and it's 17 points for impact of strength. So the only things I can do at this point, oh, I'm definitely not disbanding a farm because I'm pretty sure impact of agriculture is in there. So the only things left are that the pro sports, which gets me impact of tech. That gives me 2 H3 techs. Pahada will have 4, and Aaron has 4. Let's see, Pahada's 1, 2, 3. He already has 4, so he'll have 5. So that's really the only thing I can do anything about. And then I can just hate pick either movies or modern infantry. So I guess I'll go movies. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, I don't think. Because again, the only scenario where I don't win is if Pahada triggers economic progress with a pretty significant impact. Um, and the only ones I can do anything about. Now, there might be other impacts I haven't thought of. Impact of government would be about 10 points plus 3, so 13. So I'm just looking at the stuff I can do anything about and control the action to control the outcome of right now. And that's all I can see. Looking at everything, government, architecture. I'm doing what I can for architecture here, and happiness is maxed out. Yeah, that's really all that I can control right now, and I've done I think the best I can with the things I can control. So, so hopefully Fahad didn't draw anything super bad for us, and hopefully he doesn't trigger economic progress. That's about it. Let's end the turn and see how this goes. Well, as it turns out, Fahada did draw a impact that he wanted to play, and it did, in fact, trigger that. But is he not? He is. Of course he is. Of course he's going for it. All right. Well, it's going to be a closer game than I wanted it to be, but we'll see what happens here. Balance. Okay, predictable. Aaron's great on balance. And government. Oh, that's the one that Pahada must have taken. That's great for Pahada. So I'm 13 ahead still. Industry. And colonies was in there. Wow. Aaron just pulled that second place finish off with colonies. All right. And that is the game. That is the score. So now that we've got to the end here, I'm going to go back through this video just really quick and just do a quick recap on some of the key events. And then I have an announcement. So one of the first kind of hard decisions was building that warrior as Boudica. And I still don't know if that was a good idea. I mean, I thought that I would still be, I thought I'd be, not needing to do that the next turn. I thought I would like maintain the strongest. I didn't see them trying to outdo me in strength with 2 strength on turn 3 or whatever it was. So I thought that was interesting. I don't know. Maybe I should have built the lab here. I was really happy with this turn, the way this worked out, getting the new pop and just getting right into monarchy and able to finish the wonder. This was a really great turn for me. Being able to take swordsman. Okay, so this turn was kind of tough. I really wanted to get Leo and printing press, and I just said, okay, I'm just gonna get Leo and wait for alchemy. It ended up working out, but I don't know. Maybe this was not so great of a turn. It felt weird to just take Leo and not get printing press, which is what I did. And maybe that open borders was a mistake, rejecting that. I mean, I was looking at the situation just from the perspective of how does this help me versus Aaron, not from the perspective of, well, what if he offers it to Pahada? Anyways, and so I was looking at short term. Yeah, he cannot rebuild his legion. It ended up not being such a big deal. Maybe I should have just accepted it, let him build his legion, and then cancel it, or even just keep it. I don't know. So this turn was also, I think, a pretty good turn where I got alchemy, and I had to decide between urban growth and iron. I think I chose the right path there because coal ended up being really good for me. Actually, pretty crucial to get coal and get enough rocks late game. Who knows what I would have done with iron earlier? There, of course, would have been a totally different path there, but it worked out pretty well to get to wait for coal in this case and grab urban growth to push more rocks through earlier on. And then there's this turn where Darwin was obviously the right pick. It was so like it's looking back, it's so clear that Darwin was the right choice. And here was another tough choice for me: architecture or build a third mine, or no, not mine, but farm. This was the tough choice here: building architecture, taking architecture that is, or building a farm. I wanted architecture really bad, but this ended up being really good too. So this turn was, I don't think, so great. I mean, yeah, there was a strength base event, but that's not what I mean. What I mean is I grabbed coal, but I didn't get into coal right away. I was wanting to get not the weakest, basically, is what I did instead. I ended up copying a tactic for one more strength. And I think that in hindsight, I mean, I just suffered from uncertain borders and then the foray and I think something else earlier, call to arms. And so I was feeling a little bit cautious and maybe just too cautious. I think I could have gone into coal this turn instead of waiting. And this turn where I didn't get the second cav and didn't go for strength here and instead went for that third upgrade to coal, I think that was a great move in hindsight. That just I would not have gotten that third upgrade and I wouldn't have had the rocks to do things I did during the game. I think I would have lost had I not done that. And then there's this turn that still kind of bothers me a little bit because there's computers and efficient upgrade right in front of me. It's pretty early in age 3, and I just I just felt like the war was going to be more productive, but I don't know. Looking back at it, getting into computers, I would have, that would have taken all my science. I'd be at +7 science per turn, and then efficiently upgrade that again to be plus, what would that be, 10 per turn. Maybe even grab democracy there. That's one of those turns where I had to make a decision. Am I going to go for the war, or am I going to try to match them in their economies by having my own really maybe good economy? I guess computers being right there is like you almost auto take that if it's early enough in the age. But I don't know. This is one of those places where I'm still not sure if I made the right choice here. So definitely a few mistakes in there, and I could have definitely played some better moves. Go ahead and let me know in the comments if you saw some other mistakes or some other things that you would have done differently. I'm curious to hear others' perspective on this. And thank you to Aaron Green and Pahada for a fun match. Good game, guys. I also want to take this opportunity to, by the way, announce that this is my last game on the Transcontinental ladder. It is not easy to make that decision, but I feel as though it's time for me to move on to other things. I've played asynchronously this game for years now, starting even before the app. This ladder started before the app was out on another website, and back then it was like 12 people in the whole ladder, and now it's 60 something. Anyway, I feel like it's time for me to uh, go to something new and have a new adventure. I'll probably still play on ttapulse.com. So, guys, good luck with your next match. Pahada, you are not in Rung 2. You're going to be bumped back up to Rung 1. So it's going to be Pahada and Aaron Green against whoever won in Rung 2. And I wish you all good luck in that match. Have fun.